Introverts of Reddit, when was the most inconvenient time your social battery ran out? Get halfway through telling a story. Realize it's longer than I remembered and have to grill through the rest of it. Edit wow lol glad y'all can relate. Can't believe I got my first gold and silver off of this lol. Oh my god. Anytime I start a story without realizing how many backstories and side stories I have to tell in order to make them understand the main story absolutely hills my battery. Middle of job interview. LMAO, why do you want to work here? You know what? I don't. Peace. It seems unfair that the answer to that can never be money. Most of the time the only reason for me to want to work anywhere is money. My wife and I had a couple who mildly annoys me over for dinner and a board game. Game ended around 10 PM. I was at the drained point. Was a perfect time for goodbyes, and then my wife went to the sitting room and started a whole new conversation with them. 20 minutes later, I faked being asleep to get them to leave. You and your wife are polar opposites, huh? Yup. I think introverts tend to marry extroverts. We call them our people shields. I have been at a few parties where I just suddenly didn't want to be there and had to leave. It's like a light switch is shut off in my head. I've walked home rather than wait for my ride to be ready to go. I always find that those walks home, while frustrating to start, always ends up being somewhat refreshing for me. Even though I am not comfortably at home, I am doing what I want and not under social pressure. Man, my social battery is always drained by 9:30. I could be at a party and I'm over it by 9:30 AM or PM. This guy parties. One of my best friends graduated college in the day after a group of us went out. About 30 minutes in, I was on 2%. Had that happen after a baptism service I had to attend. I was socially drained after all the congratulations and sheet flowed around. The moment I walked into a party, my roommate had taken me along with him and I knew no one there, so I pulled a Batman and vanished while he was looking away. The good old Irish goodbye. My early 20s. I'm 30 now and still haven't found the charger. Probably any of those times where my friend would say, hey man, we're gonna just be a few PPL playing Smash Bros or Mario Kart. Gonna hit the bomb. Wanna chill? And I'm like, yeah sure, sounds good. I get there. And legit 20 minutes in, friend is like, oh shit, yeah there's that party tonight. Let's hit the bar then go the party, and I'm like, yeah sounds good. But I'm secretly like, no. We end up at some house party with like 50 plus people and I turn into Michael Cera from Superbad. Why do I do this? At work. I work as a cashier and this was 3 hours before my shift ended. Hey, how's it going? Scans as quickly as possible. 1 second after committing to any social event. Just getting the text asking me if I want to do something makes me sink farther into my bed. At the family dinner right after my brother's funeral. At the funeral, I was able to be that person that received all the hugs and said hello to a ton of people I hadn't seen in years. I kept it together for the most part. However, I also have a really big and overly dramatic family, and by the end of it all I was ready to be alone. So I was happy sitting in my chair at the table while everyone else mingled among themselves. Edit, sentence structure and a typo. I was an orientation leader, basically a long week of showing freshmen around campus, and I crashed hard by Wednesday. Little did I know we were also expected to go out partying with the staff in the evenings. So our days would be 8 AM to 10 PM with the first years. Then 11 PM to 2 AM with our staff. It was hell. In the middle of a conversation with my extrovert friend who dragged me to this party. Wouldn't stop bugging me about it. Guess I looked bummed. I hate when people call you out on being an introvert and make it seem like they're better than you cause they're always surrounded by people. Why are you so quiet? Oh boy. Nothing bugs me more than a busybody extrovert invading my space. Some friends asked me to dinner. It was kind of understood that it would be just the 3 of us. Go over to their house. Lots of people there. Somebody's birthday. No dinner. I went up to them and said, I'm sorry. But I'm not staying. We can have dinner together another time. Bye. And walked out. Didn't care who thought I was the asshole. Don't pull that shit on me because you know better. I had broke up with a girlfriend and a very extroverted friend of mine asked me to hang out and party with him and some of his very extroverted friends. I said duck it and went. It started out good. But by the third bar we jumped I was exhausted and ready to crash. Shitty thing was that we took my car and I couldn't leave without them. We ended up going to this high-end club in Chicago and they bought bottle service for like $500. They all got drunk as duck and started urging me to get drunk so I had to sip on water pretending that it was vodka. I pretty much spent the night trying to avoid the hordes of drunk people raving to loud as duck dance music while I had to manage my anxiety so I didn't completely melt down. Afterwards I dropped their asses off. Went home. And completely shut myself out from the world for a week. My friend of 12 years from USA, I'm UK. Came over, we met for the first time and after 2 hours of us playing couch games like Overcooked I was pooped. I just wanted to play a single player game. So I showed my friend my Oculus Rift, she loved it, played it for a good hour after I set it up. Meanwhile I leave the room quietly pretending I'm still in the room and I go to the bathroom with my 3DS to play Bravely Second. To this day they never knew I abandoned them for an hour. I'm no longer dating her so I don't feel bad. But right in the middle of my ex's mom's birthday where I was meeting her entire extended family, her aunt got really drunk and passed out in the only bedroom I could have hid in so I faked feeling sick and hid in the bathroom. I was bored. And that's how I found out her mom keeps all her sex toys in a basket above her bathroom towels. The worst time was while house hunting. That was a problem because I really needed to find a house and being exhausted, drained, so done with the whole situation was not a good mentality for trying to evaluate a potential home. I did find a good place. For your information. I feel you. I was at the mall the other day and right after I finished checking out at a store, my battery hit 0. I had to find a secluded bench away from everyone and take a few deep breaths and remind myself that I still had to visit a few more stores. I did so. Just quite grouchily. A couple years into my marriage when I had been busting my gonads for years trying to make her think I was extroverted like her. We're still married. I think she kinda always knew. I've actually gotten pretty good at faking extroversion and being the center of attention and even the life of the party. But I will always 100% look for any excuse to get out of social events. Especially cause our kids are also extroverts and wanna go to and I'm just here. All alone. Recharging so hard. Not one time in general. But pretty much every Friday. That's usually the best day to hang out with one of my friends. For a while we worked together. So it made sense to just head over to his place after work. Every week. Without fail. It would go like this. 1. Get to his house at 5 or 6. 2. It gets late. For me. 9:30 or 10. 3. Yeah, I should probably start heading out. 4. Friend and his girlfriend. What question mark? You've only been here a few hours. We're about to. 5. Or duck guess I'm staying another 2 hours. When my dad died 12 days ago. Apparently even warning people that I was going to be okay. But that I was going to check out for a while wasn't enough. RIPFB. VM. Text. And email inboxes. On the plus side. I've learned that I'm pretty loved. When I was hosting a party with my roommate, I went to my room, laid on my bed, and stared at the ceiling until 3/4 of the people left. Oh god. I was about to go inside of a gas station to get a pack of cigs. Felt confident enough. I get to the cash register and completely forgot how to speak. See, can I get a peepa pack of Mold March? Can. Capital I. Get. Capital A. Pack. Of. Marlboro. Black. Menthol. 100s. She's looking at me like I'm a ducking weirdo and reluctantly asks for my ID. I pull it out and very slowly slide it on the counter while she has her hand out waiting to grab it. I was trying to conceal my nervous shaking but made it so much more awkward. I wanted to say sorry but I just left. I didn't buy cigarettes myself for 3 years after that. Most recent it was in Ireland. My family was so excited to be in a different country and wanted to go check out various pubs. I had to leave them because I was so low on social energy I was getting a very bad panic attack. I feel really bad. Sorry guys. We never got to have trips like that and we finally get this chance we may never repeat and I had to leave. It really sucks. This is decades ago. I had always been introverted and my sister fixed me up with a friend of hers. We doubled to a Simon and Garfunkel concert. My date was really cute. The concert was great. But I don't think I said 2 words the whole evening. Next day sis calls and tells me I have to do something. I took her advice. Got a recommendation for a shrink and 10 years later I was out of the pits. Still was a bit shy but managed to function normally. Now when I tell people I used to be pathologically introverted they don't believe me. About 2 hours into a 20-hour train ride to New York. Sucks being trapped in a metal box for so long with a bunch of people you don't know. Some that are extra chatty because they are bored and want to make friends. Made me kind of wish I bit the bullet and flown instead. Because it would a shorter trip. But flying gives me terrible anxiety. It had been a long week at work. It was too hot and my train was delayed and keep changing platforms. Got on and there wasn't enough seats. This immigrant family with 2 really little kids are standing up without anything to hold on to and no one is giving up a seat. So I gather up what energy I have left. Poke the most able-bodied looking people and tell them politely to go and give their seats to the kids so they don't get hurt. My battery totally dies and I sit on the floor in a corner of the train and duck and cry like some sort of crazy lady. That wasn't a great day. Group date which was a day out. I was so done I slept on the ride home to avoid snapping. Is it an introvert thing to fear sleeping in front of people? I could never be the first one to fall asleep in a social situation. I think it has to do with my fear of looking really dumb. Snoring. Drooling. Blasting a nasty as fart mid-sleep. When I was in Ukraine for 2 weeks visiting some family. We had been outside for at least 12+ hours every single day in the city full of lots of people and having to speak. We went to see the churches and went on this tour to walk around the place. I just couldn't take it anymore and sat down on the floor whenever we stopped walking and switched back to English mode for the rest of the day. Whenever my family tried to speak some Russian Ukrainian to me, I just couldn't respond since it would require me to use some of my willpower that was left to walk. I ran out in the middle of onboarding a program director. I work in HR and I had to do the onboarding by myself cause my boss was out of the country. In the middle of giving my welcome to the company speech. I just complete lost it and went flat. I went from being very energetic and bubbly to sounding like Spark trying to add emotions into his repertoire. During a date. Nice and cute guy. But JFC he talked for forever and didn't let me get a word in. Cut the date short so I could go home. Less of running out and more of completely malfunctioning. Was with my crush and I could honestly barely get out a sentence that made sense because I was so nervous. I don't think that's what did me in though because she's also introverted. It was probably more of the me completely missing the signals. When I told myself I was going to extricate a group of people from my life and then they invited me to game night. Which inexplicably turned into a road trip to multiple other people's houses in the friend group. And not getting home until 3 AM. I was at a wedding for my friend from grad school. I care for her dearly and her husband is also a good friend of mine. I even flew to New Haven just to be there for them for a single night. I ended up being that gloomy looking guy in the corner. I stayed up all night cause I couldn't sleep and my friend became friends with this one girl and I kinda liked her but I was super tired and started spewing out random stuff and half of it I don't even remember saying but she thinks I'm gay now. I love this thread and threads like it. 2 of my closest pals are introverts. I am an extreme extrovert. My goal is to avoid pressuring them since I cannot relate. My husband is an extrovert but is a lot less energetic, so he's happy to leave an event after a few hours. I tend to throw 12-hour parties. I've learned to not ask stupid questions and fed better at determining whether someone wants to interact. I hope OP gets gold. Trapped on an 8-hour road trip from Texas to Kansas with 5 people in the car. They all decided to pull out gum at the same time and have a contest to see who could crack it the loudest. I almost pulled a Wile E. Coyote exit at 80 miles per hour. On my 20th birthday, when an entire Johnny Rockets restaurant was singing happy birthday to my twin brother and I had to play it off like I was laughing so hard that I was crying when really I was having a horrible panic attack. Before I left the house for work, I debate with myself daily if I really need my job. Unfortunately I do. At my wedding reception, where you do the first dance, the DJ played a record I'd specifically told him not to. It was a trigger for mental health issues for me, under any circumstances. And I walked off the dance floor, leaving my poor wife wondering what to do. I found out almost 20 years later that I have Asperger's, autism, which alongside something akin to PTSD, due to a bad former relationship, lead to my reaction. Somehow we're still married 25 years later. So I'd like to offer a public apology to my long-suffering wife Helen. And I still can't dance, no rhythm. To left feet etc. Sorry love. 2 days into a vacation to this beautiful little town in the Alps. I was there with a close friend to visit another friend. We weren't spending a dime for the hotel or food. Beautiful weather. I had a panic attack in the middle of a busy bar because we had the opportunity to stay 2 days more free of charge. I just couldn't take not sleeping in my own bed for a night more. We ended up staying, but I was completely emotionless the whole time. Does this count? I was already fed up with my ex-boyfriend, and I didn't want to go to a work party. He worked for a German company and they had a female intern from Germany. He was the head of the US division. So we're there after the furniture market and they make a toast and some drunk salesman says, "German intern and my boyfriend need to just get it on. We've been together for 3 years by this point and I know this salesman well." I just turn around and drive home, where we live together. We broke up because I couldn't laugh off a joke. I don't think you broke up over a joke. I think that was pretty highly inappropriate, sexist, and degrading for someone to say that to you. This itch would have done the same shit you did. I would have driven my ass home pissed that my partner thought of me as an object, did not speak up for me and allowed another person to degrade both me and someone else.